Okay, I'll be talking about how to graph this function right here. F of x equals to x squared parentheses x minus 2 parentheses open parentheses x plus 3 to the power of 2. So in order to graph this function, first you need to find the x of 0. How do you find the x of 0? Is to make x to the second power equals to 0, and then you have to know what makes x equals to 0. So it's 0, right? When you put 0 raised to the second power equals to 0, so x equals to 0. And then this parentheses right here, bring it down. X minus 2 equals to 0, so x equals to 0, because if you put the 2 and plug it into x right here, it will make it into 0. And then bring down this parentheses, x plus 3 to the power second, bring down x plus 3 equals to 0. So when you solve for x, it will be x equals to negative 3. The second thing you need to do is to find the y-intercept. To find the y-intercept, you make this f of x into y. Y is the same thing as f of x. And then put down the same factors right here. And when you try to solve for y-intercept, you set the x equals to 0. So you put the x, make it into 0 right here. Every x that you see, put it into 0 like that. And then you solve for it. You solve for the y. So it will be 0. Y equals 0. So the y-intercept will be 0. And then the third thing you need to do is to find the x-intercept. To find the x-intercept, you set the y equals to 0. So you make the same thing right here. And then you put the y equals to 0. And then right on the right hand side right here, what makes x, like the whole function right here, makes it into 0. So put the y into 0, and let's say I try x equals to 0. So put x equals to 0 and x equals to 2, because 2 minus 2 equals to 0, right? So you put down negative 3 right here, because negative 3 plus 3 equals to 0. So when you solve for this right here, it will be 0 times 0 times 0 raised to the second power. So the x-intercept will be 0. And then the third thing, the x-intercept is not only 0, it's also 2 and negative 3. The third thing you need to do is get the test point. To make the test point, first you need to draw the real number line right here, and then put all the x of 0 right here. The x of 0 will be 0, 2, and negative 3. So you put it on the real number line. So it will be negative 3, 0, and 2. And then between negative 3 and 2, you put a 0 right here. And between negative 3 and 0, there will be a number that's negative 1. So you use the negative 1 and plug it back into the original function, which is f of x, the whole thing right here. So you put negative 1 right here, and then put negative 1. Everywhere that you see there's an x, you put negative 1. And then you solve for it. So negative 1 raised to the second power will be 1. Negative 1 minus 2 will be negative 3. And negative 1 plus 3 will be 2 raised to the second power. So 1 times negative 3 times 4, it will be negative 12. So between negative 3 and 0, there's a negative function right here. And then as for 0 to 2, you could try a number 1. You could try any other number between 0 and 2, but I try 1. So I put the 1 into the original given function and solve for it, and the answer will be negative 16. So between 0 and 2, there's a negative answer right here. So I put a negative right here. And if you try 3 right here, you will get a positive number. And if you try negative 4, it'll be negative. I mean, you could try any other negative number. It'll still come out to be negative. It's the same as true for right here. If you try any positive number that's greater than 2, it will always be a positive number. So the test point will show you how the graph will look like. Okay, so so the next thing you need to do is to know that every time you have an x raised to a even power, it will touch the coordinate system. And if you have x minus 2 raised to the odd power, it will cross the coordinate system. And x plus 3 raised to the second power, it will touch the graph. I'll explain to you right now what that means. So to graph this function right here, you write the coordinate system. This is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis. And then you write the tick marks. Like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Make sure the distance is the same, that's consistent throughout, or else your graph will be not right. So you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Make sure the distance, the tick marks are consistent with each other, like the same distance. And this one is negative and infinity to negative infinity. And this one also negative and to infinity. So in order to graph this function, put all the x of 0, which I have solved earlier. So 0, 2, and negative 3, right? So put negative 3 and 0 and 2. Okay? And so I said that earlier right here, the x plus 3. I said right here, let me see. The test point, the x, negative 3, before negative 3, there's a negative right here. That means